I'm over here just trying to be the best mama I can be, and it's not always easy. So anything that comes along that makes it a little more fun to do the hard things, I'm here for it. So. Hi, I'm Frances with Boardgames, and today I'm bringing you something a little different, very special. If you have been following us recently, you know we are taking on fewer and fewer crowdfunding projects. But this one was an automatic yes right out of the gate, and it is not just a board game, but an educational tool. So as a mom and as somebody who has a background in education and somebody who just absolutely adores like psychology and emotional intelligence, I thought this was really cool. So what I have here is a game called Hey Feelings, and they market this as an amazing journey through emotions. The purpose of the game, again, really is to be a tool for primarily for kids, starting with age 3 up through, really the whole family can play. And it's actually been a lot of fun, to play with even the older kids. But it's a tool that will allow them to explore emotions through playing a game in a really unique way. So I'll show you a little bit about the game here, and then I also have we can share some experience with you because again we've been playing this with the kids too. So it comes in this nice box. When you open the box, you have all of your nice components, and the first thing that my daughter went bananas over were these little gems, these little crystals, which play a huge part in the game, of course. So you've got some really neat components that I'll just put out here so you can kind of see what we got going on. So we've got cool gems. We've got like big, chunky dice, right? Always critical for anything involving kids. So we've got a big, chunky dice. A little bag to store gems and other things, also our tokens. We've got our player tokens here, which are really cute little paw prints. And then these, we have these boxes here that players are going to use to collect their treasures as they play the game. And those treasures, of course, are these really cool little gems here. On the side, before we get into the cards, we have books that slide out here. And there's 2 books that are included in this set, book 1 and book 2. And each one is actually a board. So the way that this works is each book covers 3 different emotions. So the first book covers fear, empathy, and anxiety. The second book covers boredom, anger, and love. And so, for example, if we look at like the fear page here, let me see if I have a sort of a close-up for you. There we go. So before we get into the board of fear, which I will take you through in a second, they always have an introduction in the beginning about what is the emotion. Is it really, like in this case, it's fear. Is fear so scary? So it kind of takes you through a scenario where your child might feel the emotion and can relate to it through this story. So it's always good to kind of start off by reading through the story, and you'll get some examples of like how to calm yourself down, or like the characters in the story will explain like what the emotion is. And it's a great opportunity to then have a conversation with your kid about, what the feeling might feel like. Have they felt this feeling before? So this part itself is really cool. But you can definitely also just dive right into the game, and I'll show you kind of how we will also continue to like analyze those emotions as you play the game. So for example, you have this fear board, and this theme is Halloween, which is, a common situation where kids might get scared, or at least it illustrates like what fear might feel like. I know for our toddlers, the first time that they went around on Halloween and got like spooked by ghosts and stuff, it's just a really relatable period of time where they might feel this emotion. I'll just let you peek at some of these others here too before we get into how to play this thing. So you have empathy, which is a really complex emotion, I think, for kids to feel. So again, having a story about, somebody going through something and then another child observing this and maybe having feelings about what somebody else went through is a great place to start a conversation. We have like a water park where they'll be playing through certain things. And then finally in this book, we have the anxiety. So this is another one that we like a lot because we talk about anxiety a lot in our house. Obviously, it's something that we kind of all deal with. And frankly, I think a lot of the tips and the communication that happens throughout the process of this game even opens up like adults' eyes to these feelings being very normal and what are some methods that we can use to try and learn to like sit with these emotions. And in this case, kind of have fun with them as we play through a game. So these are the boards in the first book. I'll show you the second book in a minute, but I wanted to give you an idea of how this thing plays here. Hey there. Here, let's pick one that is... Ooh, how about this one? Ready? Share a situation that made you feel angry. All right, so you're gonna start off there's 3 different game modes, which I'll go over in a minute, but you're gonna start all of the game modes off by placing these really colorful, cool crystals all over the crystal spots on the map. So anywhere where you see one of these crystals, we're gonna put those. And the aim of a lot of these modes is really just to collect crystals, and it's going to be very like chutes and ladders type of a situation as you're rolling dice and moving around and collecting these crystals across the board. But the cool thing about this particular game is the incorporation of these cards. So you kind of get the idea. You're going to place these crystals out and you have your starting location where everybody will begin. And then as you're, rolling the big chunky dice, you're going to be able to move in any direction, again, collecting these crystals as you go. But most importantly is the incorporation, like I said, of these cards. So the first game mode is called Feelings Detective. This is a super easy version of the game. So if you're playing with really young kids, maybe as young as 3, this is one that is not language dependent. It's just based on pictures. So let's take a look here. We have our board set up. You put the crystals all over the board, just like so. And then I'll show you here. These decks, again, are split into 2. So we have our text cards, and then we also have these picture cards. For this mode, this Feelings Detective, you're actually going to get rid of these, and we're just going to be using the picture cards. And all you're doing is these pictures, like really beautiful illustrations, match up with things that you're going to see on the board. So what you would do is the first player would just flip one of these cards, and then it's a race to figure out who can find this person. So I'll show you that card here. So you would flip the card, and then it's a race to figure out who's going to find this person. So, all the kids kind of get around, and we're all looking, and we're evaluating like what's going on in all these scenarios, and we are kind of doing like a Where's Waldo to find that particular card, and whoever finds it first gets to claim one of the crystals. So it's very basic, but it does, again, really provide you an opportunity to even like engage more than just let's find crystals, but like, oh, okay, he's running, he has a bouquet, oh, he's really dressed up. I wonder is he running from something? Do you think he's running to something? What do you think is making him anxious right now? So these are all conversations that are really easy to facilitate with these, again, just like really beautiful to look at tools. And the kids always come up with, really interesting ideas about like, well, maybe he's running from this or he's running to that. And I think it's, again, just a really great way to encourage them to think about other people too, and maybe what their experience might look like. So again, you can kind of just flip these. Everybody takes a turn to flip a card, and you're looking for these pictures on the board. So that's like the super easy version of how to play this, again, with no language dependence whatsoever. So the next game mode is called Emotions Race. And this is the one that we play most frequently, even with my daughter is three and a half, so she'll be 4 in July. And this works great for her. She cannot read the cards, obviously, so I read them aloud, but I would probably doing that anyway as a teacher or as a parent, just to help guide the conversation a little bit. So the way that this works is you get to roll the really big, cool, chunky die. And I can show you again what that's gonna look like here. So you've got your thing here. We're gonna roll the big chunky dice. Even like a 3-year-old, at least our 3-year-old is able to be like, oh, that's 3. I'm gonna move 3 spaces. So she might move 1, 2, 3, move around. And then you get to collect a crystal. So in this game mode though, when you collect your crystals, you also get to draw from the deck here. You also get to draw from the deck associated with the map that you're playing. But in this case, let's see, I'm trying to get like good views for you guys here. So in this case, you're drawing from the deck that has the text. And what's really neat about these cards is that they are thought-provoking. So it's not every single turn you're doing this, but it's frequent enough as the kids collect the crystals that they get to flip these and everybody gets to participate. So for example, think of a magical item that you could make that could make all your worries disappear. What would it be? How does it work? And this is it's just a brilliant way to get kids reframing their thought process and getting out of that anxiety loop, because if you have anxiety or you've dealt with it, you know that you can kind of get stuck in this spiral, or this worry just kind of consumes your thought process. So when you help actually provide kids with the tools to say, let me think of what that magical item is. Or, for us as adults, I know usually it's like, what's that magical place that I can escape to and kind of ground myself. So getting them to kind of think about that is not just, hey, let's play this game, let's be creative, let's think about something, but this is actually a tool that they can use in those moments when they're feeling like one of these people on the map, and they can start to think about like, oh, I have this magical, like doll, or I have this magical wand, or like I have this, it's probably something way more creative than I could come up with. And then thinking about like, how does it work? How's it going to actually make me feel better? This is a tool that is going to help provide them safety in their mind when they are experiencing these things. So anyway, just one example. The next one would be like, find a character on the board who seems to be anxious. How can you cheer them up? So again, thinking not just about like, how could I cheer myself up in those moments when I'm feeling anxious, but how could I not only identify it in somebody else, but also provide them with some support too. And the fact that we're playing this game, but we're having these conversations at such a young age is helping form the basis and the foundation for emotional intelligence. It's amazing. So these are the anxiety cards. I can give you an idea of like, for example, we've got like our fear cards, which is, very similar. For anger cards too, and we play with this deck sometimes.
I want to do anger.
Anger is in the other book. You want to see that? Because anger is another really tricky one. It's closely related to fear, but kind of comes out in a different way, right? So talking to the kids about like, describe a situation when you controlled your anger, what helped you stay in control. How can we tell that someone is angry? So again, looking and seeing like what does this look like? What does it feel like? I know when we were playing the game with my daughter, one of the questions that came up was like, which part of your body do you feel anger?
I feel anger in my ears, and it's probably shaking. Then it's probably my throat is bumping.
Yeah? Where do you feel it in your body? Is it hot or is it cold?
Cold.
It's cold when you're angry? Is it big or is it small?
It's this much.
It's that much? Oh my goodness. So really getting them to understand that we can try to get a grip on some of these things and like where does it show up in my body before they like lose control and just get that really scared feeling of like, I'm angry and I don't know what to do with this. Where does your anger live?
There.
Oh, it lives right there?
Yeah.
Oh, is it big or small? No, we have some positive emotions in here too. Like I say, all emotions are positive. Emotions don't have any negativity or positivity, right? And some can be equally difficult to manage. So we've got love in here. We have boredom, which is a big one, I think, for kids right now. You know, especially, I mean, maybe it's always been an issue, but I know like when I was a kid, we just like run outside and play all day. Nowadays, it seems like, you know, if you're not like tied to a device or you're kind of bored with the 9,000 things that you have to do in the house, it's like you don't know what to do with yourself. So let's try to navigate that. But anyway, so very exciting. I'll show you the last game mode here. So this last game mode, we can stay on the anxiety board just to show you the difference between you have like your emotions race and then you have your master of emotions. Your master of emotions just changes the way that you navigate the board. So it allows each player to move in any direction, where the emotions race, the players pick a direction to move. And then if you're the last player to go like in that round, you would say like, hey, follow me. And then you can now change the way that the race is going. It's like which direction, what path you're all chasing down. Just makes it a little more complicated, I guess, because if you're in the lead, you're collecting the crystals, like, you know, it might be more disappointing for the last player. So then they get to pick and say, okay, we're actually going to move this way so that I can catch some crystals and stuff. So just a different way to play. And I think, I mean, and you know, if you're a board gamer, you understand that we love board games for kids because it provides kids an opportunity, and adults for that matter, an opportunity to not do well or to succumb to luck. And kind of deal with those feelings of disappointment sometimes, and sharing and taking turns. So we love board games for kids anyway, but something like this, again, really provides an opportunity to teach kids about emotions and I think provides like a safer place for parents to have those conversations, because we don't always know like what we're supposed to be asking or like how we're supposed to be guiding those, you know, those conversations. So really cool. I can quickly show you the other board so that you can see what those maps look like. I'll get all my fancy crystals off the board here. It just really is pretty cool. So that was that one. Let's see, I will give you our nice top-down zoom again for our Hey Feelings. Boredom, anger, love. So we've got, again, oh my goodness, and I think in the crowdfunding campaign they're giving away not giving away, I guess you get them in the campaign, little plushies, which are absolutely adorable too. So okay, we've got here, so again, boredom, time for snoring, and again you have your story on this side, so you can understand like, you know, maybe what that feels like, or a story about, you know, these characters kind of going through that. Having a conversation, kind of talking about different conversation starters. Like Harper had a really challenging homework, so she asked her dad for some help. How do you feel when your parents help you with something? You know, so just kind of things to get the conversation going. And then of course we're home on a rainy day. Oh, guys, I can relate to this so much. I hate being stuck in the house on rainy days, just like a lot of these kids in this house. But again, you've got your deck associated with the board to kind of go over some of those emotions. This one here, anger. Again, as an adult, I can definitely get behind some of these angry situations where we're stuck in traffic or we're kind of dealing with stuff we don't want to deal with. So just as perhaps helpful for us as it is for our kiddos. And then finally, love. And let's see like what that might look like. So yes, very nice. All right. Yes, very cool. So let's see. So that's pretty much the game. Again, we had a lot of fun with this one. The kids loved it. Whether it was just kind of like tinkering around with the gems and things, or actually thinking about about the feelings. I mean, I'll be really honest with you, with our kids too. We like to just use the cards. Like sometimes we don't even pull out the game piece of it. They just like, hearing the prompts and actually having a conversation. So if you're like sitting around at dinner or after school or maybe on one of those rainy days and you want to think about like, okay, here's the love card. I just love these. You could sit and look at the love card. So sit facing another player, speak about their hair. Is it one color or many? Is it short, long, or curly? What do you like most about it? So it's like kind of noticing other people. Look around and find one thing that reminds you of love. So I don't know. I can just picture like pulling out, like even the deck, like I can picture pulling this out like on Valentine's Day or something and just having a cool like evening with the kids, playing that and incorporating like like I said, like the rest of the family. I mean, we have 6 kids, ages 2, almost 2, be 2 in a couple of weeks, all the way up through 18. And everybody can kind of get behind this and have a conversation. Even if like, the older kids aren't sitting there actually playing the game, they get involved in the conversations. And I think, again, the kinds of prompts that are used in the cards really do provide real advice and tools and tactics for navigating a lot of these feelings. And anything that can assist with that, I think, especially in this day and age, is welcome in our house and, gets a bunch of thumbs up from us. So that being said, I will, full disclosure, we're getting a small payment for creating this video, and I was very, honest with the Hey Feelings team and said, look, like we did get some B-roll and stuff of the kids and just kind of getting them to the table and all of that kind of thing can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So I guess we probably don't have to include that. Let's see. All right. So that's Hey Feelings. That is the game, and I hope that you found this valuable. I hope it gave you a good idea of whether or not this is something that would be a good fit for you and your family. I don't see how it wouldn't be. I'm really, even again, if it's just for the prompts and the cards, I think it's a great tool for your home and educational setting. I will definitely be passing this along like to our daycare program as well, where they are always looking for these kinds of opportunities to like talk about feelings and enhance the kids' emotional intelligence. So yeah, if you have any questions about how it worked in our house, definitely leave me a comment below. I'm happy to engage with you there, and I'm sure the Hey Feelings team will also be there to answer any questions that you guys have. Let me know what you thought of this. If you also want to drop like one of your other favorite like kind of tools like this, because we don't see these too often. And like I said, when we do, I just have to grab them up because I'm over here just trying to be the best mama I can be, and it's not always easy. So anything that comes along that makes it a little more, a little more fun to do the hard things, I'm here for it. So I'm Frances with Boardgames. Thank you guys for sticking with me, and I will see you on the next one.